Welcome to the Gritcast, where we get into the nitty-gritty of all things hockey. From the East to the West Coast. Here are your hosts, Matt Pierce, Nikosh Ganguly, and Darius Dominguez.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Gritcast. We're back. Matt and I are back at least. Nick is lost in California. Or I wouldn't say lost. He's taking in some games. They're taking in some sun. But Matt, how you doing this week, man? Before we get into things, how you doing? We haven't seen you since Christmas. We haven't been together on a podcast.
Yeah,
so.
no, we took last week off there because
Yeah.
it's the silly season. The week in between Christmas and New Year's, time doesn't exist. It's
Brother.
always a Friday or Saturday, and I mean, I'm ready to kick off the first Gritcast in 2024. How about you?
I am. I'm ready to get back into things. It was kind of weird. Like you said, I didn't know if it was Tuesday or Saturday at some points last week. It was really weird. I feel like Christmas being on a Monday really screwed things up. But we're here. And yeah, like we touched on, Nick is in California. He went to go check out the Leafs in LA, and then he watched the Leafs in Anaheim last night. Pretty interesting game, but I think we'll get to it later anyway. But yeah, I'm sure Nick will be back with some stories and whatnot next week. I'm excited for that.
Story time next week with Nick. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir. And before we get any further, this episode is brought to you by Snipe Show Apparel. I haven't done this in a while. All right. You can get your toques online. A bunch of different designs and whatnot. So go check them out online. The link will be in the description. You can order online. And there are pop-up shops this weekend. I'm not sure when this podcast will be out, actually, but we'll be there this weekend, so check that out.
It's a perfect if you forgot about Christmas for somebody. Hey, grab them a toque.
Exactly, and it's still cold. I feel like the seasons are kind of, I don't know about Winnipeg, but at least here.
Oh no, today it was cold.
Yeah.
Over the past couple months, or since late November, it's been unnecessarily warm, and I'm starting to get suspicious. And then today I walk out, go to start my car. It's like, oh yeah, there's that traditional Winnipeg winter.
Back.
It has arrived.
Yeah,
January, early January. I'm surprised it took this long, but alas,
I feel like the seasons are kind of dragging a little bit now. It's almost like they're changing in a way. Like they'll drag on a month or two longer.
That's what they normally do.
No.
The season's changing. Who would have thought?
Yeah, they change from season to season. But what I mean is they're dragging. Like when I was a kid, winter would end in March, right? And now it's it'll go till May or something, and then summer kind of drags on into September, even October sometimes. I don't know.
And then you get that half week of fall. It's it's fall weather, and then you're right into winter.
Exactly. Yeah, that too. There's a lot less of fall and spring, I feel like. But anyway, enough of our weather talk. This is not the Weather Network. This is the Gritcast. So let's get into. We'll start with the World Juniors because obviously it's hot right now. The final will be this weekend, so that's exciting. But what's not exciting, at least for us, is Canada's performance at this year's World Juniors. Losing to the Czechs in the semifinal, the quarterfinal. Wish it was the semifinal at least. But Matt, what's your take right off the bat in terms of Team Canada, and then we'll get into some of the other teams.
Right off of Team Canada, it wasn't so much the players' performance; it was more so how the roster was built.
Mm-hmm.
There left some pretty good players at home. I'm sure you can mention them later on. One specifically was Martone in the OHL.
Yes, sir. Second leading scorer in the league, buddy.
Second leading scorer in the league. Left at home. I believe it was Raykop.
Yeah, benched half the time.
Played limited minutes. Isn't he the top scorer in the OHL?
He is the top scorer. He has as many goals as games played in the OHL, folks. Okay, he's a good player.
And how many games are we at right now?
I think he's played less than everyone else, so he's probably played 30, something like that. So
okay, well, I mean, still that's somewhat respectable.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was the way the roster was built. It was more so it was built off role players, where they had players filling specific roles rather than sending your best players. I know in the past that has hurt Team Canada. One example that comes to mind for me is the 2006 Turin Olympics, where they left guys like Sidney Crosby at home, and they brought Chris Draper. Wings fans, I'm sorry. I mean, decent role player, but that is not an Olympian. And I don't want to say I'm disappointed. It's nice to see Czechia, not so much beat Canada, but to see other countries sort of rise and perform at the same level as Canada, rather than Canada stomping all over everybody, where, other teams come and have their slice of the pie.
Yeah. No, like you said, it gets boring sometimes when it's just the top 4 teams, right? When we were growing up, there's only 4 teams really that threatened for the gold medal, right? So it's nice to see Czechia getting in there at least. But to touch on what you said, the roster construction. I feel like there's like some bias with age with Team Canada and Hockey Canada, because at the end of the day, you're not only did you not bring all of your best players, you're not even playing your best players to their full ability. Like you said, like Raycroft. What's his name? Raycroft?
Carson Raycroft? Is
Raycroft?
Carson right? Yeah.
I think
okay.
so. Yeah. Kitchener Rangers, leading scorer in the Ontario Hockey League. The Ontario Hockey League is a very strong league. You have to be really good to play in that league and score goals in the OHL. Not that the other junior leagues aren't, but the OHL is probably, one of the premier leagues for junior players, right? So, I don't like, they didn't bring Porter Martone. I know it's only his second year in the OHL. He's the second leading scorer in the league. That's a good player. Why wouldn't you bring that player, right? So it's a little puzzling, and they get like role players to come in instead of the best players. Like, you should be selecting the best players at each position. And like I mentioned in our preview show, they left one of the better goaltenders in that could be selected by Canada right now at home. He's playing for the North Bay Battalion right now, and he probably feels like I could have been there and made a difference. Not that goaltending was a huge issue, especially people blaming it, but
yeah, Rousseau had like a very strong tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't see how people can blame Rousseau for the 3 goals he let in against Czechia. Like, 2.
No.
Okay, maybe the second one you could get a save, but I mean the amount of highlight saves he had throughout the tournament. I mean, he can buy one, and you expect the others to step up. Say, okay, we're down 2-0. They did tie the game 2-2, but then after that, it just kind of dwindled off. And I mean, I don't want to harp on the team because I put in my notes here, PSA, don't cyberbully teenagers when they don't perform to your expectations.
I was going to get to that, yeah.
You still can, but it's just, it's Canada. You feel a sense of pride, but not so much where you let it overcome your emotions. Like, don't get mad at teenagers when they don't win a gold medal. I mean, sure, this is probably like the best on best that you can get because we don't have the Olympics or the World Cup. So I mean, this is really the only time during the sport, the hockey sporting calendar. I kind of rambled off there a bit, where you get like the best players, not necessarily from each team, but each country sort of playing. But still, I mean, don't be a dick. It's just a turn.
Exactly. And I found myself, even when they lost. So, first of all, let me just say that the fact that they lost 3-2 in that fashion, you should have more goals than that. Like, I don't think it's the goaltender's fault at that point. Even Bonk, everyone blaming Bonk. What are you talking about, man? Watch the sport.
Like, what was he supposed to do? Like, make that split-second decision? I mean,
dumb.
It's a deflection.
It's dumb. To expect anything other than, like, it's just a game, man. The bounces are there. You have to expect it. Like, you can't blame the kid. Anyway. But like you touched on too, I wanted to, before we wrap up Canada at least, and if you have something else to say, you can touch on that as well. But just to go into that, like some of the guys having to put their socials on private and stuff like that, like what are we doing as a society? Like these guys are like obviously under 20 years old, and they're getting to represent their country. I think that's pretty cool. And when they lost in that fashion, I watched that game live. I was like, oh, okay, I have stuff to do, right? Like it would be great if they won, but like I got to put my shit away. I got to stop watching this and I got to get back to work or whatever it is, right? Like I have shit to do. Like it's just a tournament. Obviously, like you said, Matt, it's best on best. Obviously, I would like Canada to win, but when they lose, especially when, I feel like they tried their hard. Like you'd like them to play better, of course, right? Be the best team, but they do, like to think that they don't leave it out there and try their hardest to feel like they're like, if you think they're sabotaging the game or something. No, they're out there trying their hardest. So, and they happen to lose off of a bounce. It happens. It's a sport. So to blame the guys, like, I think it's ridiculous, and stop the cyberbullying. It's just stupid. And it's either like old guys, like 60-year-olds and 50-year-olds with their burner accounts doing it, or like kids even younger, like 12-year-olds, and they have no idea. Like what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Go pick up a hobby.
It's a game of bounces. That's all you can say.
That's all it is. But it has been an interesting tournament across the board because we did predict, obviously, the USA would be a powerhouse. They are. I predicted that Latvia would be pretty good. They were pretty good. I remember when I said that any chance they had of not getting relegated was beating Germany. What happened? Huh?
Yeah.
What happened? I was called an idiot in our TikTok comments, all right, for some of my predictions.
Oh, they do that every video though, Darius. Come on.
No, I know. I don't take it to heart or anything, but I was right. So, anyway.
Also, before we go on, relegation. Germany beat Norway, so Germany stays up in the top division. A round very much about. That game was on at 4. That game was on. That game was on at 4 a.m. local. I was at work because I work some stupid hours,
Yep.
and I checked the score, 5-4 Germany. Congrats to Germany. Sorry to Norway. Hope you make it up again next year.
Mhm.
And so yeah. There's you want to touch on that relegation story again, do you?
Yeah, just I mean, we have a TikTok about it, but just to touch on it quickly, I think it was the 2015 World Juniors. I'm pretty sure Canada won that one. The team had Max Domi, Connor McDavid, those guys. Anyway, they played Russia in the final.
The first guy you name is Max Domi.
I don't know, it just came to mind.
Over
Sam
McDavid. Who else?
Sam Reinhart was on that team. Yeah.
Duclair. Zach Fucali, a system goalie. I was so high on him, and then I realized, hey, he just plays with good teams.
Yes. Anyway, I'll get to the story. So I forget who it was. Might have been an uncle, something like that. Was like, hey, I have tickets to the semifinals. Now, I guess he was mistaken because the dates were the same. Like the semifinal and the relegation game were on the same day, which is not like absurd or like it happens, right? I think they do that regularly.
Yeah, because at that time, the relegation was a best of 3. Now it's only a best of 1.
Yeah, no,
single game elimination.
Yeah. So at that time, it was like best of 3. Whatever, I didn't know that. But he goes, hey, I have tickets for this day, the semifinal. So we're like, cool. So he's like, yeah, meet us at the rink at this time, whatever. And I was like, that's really weird. Like, I thought the semifinal was tonight at 7:30 because all the games are usually like local time, like 7 o'clock or whatever. So they're on TV and people can watch. I think Canada was in that semis against, I can't remember who they beat in the semis.
Slovakia, I believe.
Yeah. Yes. So I was excited. So I'm doing more research and I'm like, hey, the 130 game is definitely not Canada. It's definitely not a semifinal. And it's looking like it's probably, I don't even know. It was definitely Germany and somebody else. I can't remember.
And Switzerland.
I looked it up. Switzerland, that's what it was, yes. And we were like, all right, so I show up to the rink. I tell this story much better in the TikTok, so go check that TikTok out. But anyway, we get to the rink, and I'm like, oh, this is a relegation game that is not televised. And there was that, what was good about it? There's no TV timeouts, so the game went pretty quick.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
That's fair.
But it was, like not the greatest hockey. I think the final score was like 1 or 2-0. And it was a good time out with a couple cousins and friends, and that's all. But that's it for that.
No, I think it was the realization in our group chat at that time,
I think
9 years ago,
it out.
which is hell of a way to say like I'm old when that was 9 years ago.
Yeah, that's weird.
But yeah, I did point it out because you had shown not so much like the ticket without the barcodes, like this is what I'm going to. It's like relegation. That's for like the shitty teams, dude. Like you're watching the two shitty teams duke it out to see who stays up. But I mean, at the end of the day, it could be decent hockey because the winner stays up. Yeah, and then the loser has to go down to the lower division. And Gord Miller had pointed it out that like staying up in the top division like works wonders for like hockey programs like Germany because the something about the IIHF funding, something like that. But
if you're in the tier 1, whatever they call it, tier 1, you get more funding from the IIHF for your hockey programs or whatever it is. And if you get relegated, you get into that second tier and you have to fight your way back up into tier 1, which is a whole thing too. So obviously teams want to stay there, but enough with relegation because that's an embarrassing story of mine as well. Let's talk a little bit about like Finland. Sweden's doing well. Like I'm really surprised with Finland because I thought they would just be mid as hell.
So did I after 2 games because weren't they 0-2 after 2 games?
Yeah, and they're here.
Yeah, because they lost to Canada on Boxing Day, and then who else did they lose to?
I can't remember.
Was
Sweden?
it Latvia?
No, they beat Sweden, right?
Yeah,
they
beat Sweden in a shootout.
Or Latvia, maybe they won, but overtime. Something I can't remember the results. But anyway.
So keep talking, and I'll look it up.
Look it up, yeah. But so we had a Czech Sweden semifinal that Czechia lost. Sweden won that, which I think was to be expected. Sweden looks pretty good playing at home. But yeah, it was that weird major penalty against Switzerland in that last minute that got Sweden to the semifinal. Not a great call.
The one in the third.
Yeah,
because there's also the one in overtime, that hook in overtime.
Yeah,
bit of a wacky call, but I mean, what can you do? It's the IIHF rules.
Yeah,
under a microscope.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of wonky. Not to say that Switzerland would have won without it. But yeah, a little wonky. But anyway, goaltending for Sweden's looked good. They look good. It could look... It's obviously Sweden in the final. Probably going to be USA because USA is a powerhouse. But what do you think of the USA-Finland semifinal? Didn't predict that personally, but what do you think could happen?
Looking at it right now, actually, I have it on my TV in front of me. Shaw, it's tied 2-2 after two. The Finns took a 2-0 lead. The Americans climbed back, and the Americans are just far too good. Like wave after wave of offense, you can't really hold them back. It just becomes a shootout. Mm-hmm. The Americans, as I predicted at the start in our previous show, actually would win the tournament. I still stand by that.
Yeah, it's looking like the Americans will do it. I can see Sweden winning it. I just think that USA has too much firepower everywhere. They put together a really good team. Like they did what Canada should have done. They invited all of their best players available. Yeah. So
with the Americans in Sweden, if that happens to be the gold medal game, of course, I'm not trying to jinx anything here. I would love a repeat of last year's bronze medal game. Wasn't that like 8-7 in overtime?
Yeah.
Just balls to the wall offense. Give me that again. Not like a 2-1, close game. Like give me all the offense that you can handle.
Yeah, no, it's fun like that.
That's the only way the Americans will win. If it comes down to like a defensive tight checking game, that's what Sweden will do, and they did that perfectly against Canada, and I don't see why they couldn't do that against the Americans.
No, and I think they play that type of hockey, like underratedly they play that type of hockey. Like you wouldn't really think of Sweden to play that style, but I think they do it very effectively. Compared to other countries, at least right now at the World Juniors. So that is all fun and good. Do you want to move on from the World Juniors? We got a good chunk there, unless you want to mention anything else.
Yeah, nothing surprising to me so far. Except for Hugo Havlid, the Swedish goaltender.
Yeah, really
guy
good.
Is a robot in net. During the round robin, this is obviously adjusted due to the semifinal today, but he's got like a .650 goals or a .65 goals against average. Which is nuts, in a .966.
Yeah.
Like, say what you want about Sweden's defensive structure, but not everybody can pull those types of numbers off. It's ridiculous.
No, they got a brick wall back there for them. It doesn't matter what they do defensively. And I have to apologize because I said in the preview Sweden, which I thought at the time Sweden's goaltending wouldn't make a difference for them. Clearly it has. Clearly, it definitely has.
in the positive way.
In a positive way, yeah. I said if anything, it would affect them negatively. I was wrong, and this is me saying I was wrong. So there you go. Matt, the Oilers. We're gonna start with the Oilers. I'll touch on the Leafs a little bit because I'm bored with the Leafs. I'm not gonna lie. They're really just they are what they are, man. But anyway, the Oilers. A couple impressive wins. Seem to be back on track. McDavid's back. All right, McDavid's back. Yep. Since our last show, I would say. Not that he wasn't back before. But let's get into the Oilers a little bit. Couple big wins. Nice blowout win the other night. What are you seeing from the Oilers? What are you seeing from McDavid? Will McDavid lead the league in scoring? I think he will because he's a mutant and he's already like third. But what are you seeing from the Oilers lately?
I'm seeing confidence. Like this team is confident. They got a very sound structure under Chris Knobloch. It took a while for them to fully learn the system, but it's night and day. I hate to drag Jay Woodcroft back into this. Loved him as a coach, but it's night and day compared to the Oilers under Woodcroft and then the Oilers under Knobloch. Because Knobloch is sort of like he's teetering the line between being a hard ass coach and letting them do what they want. And when you let them do what they want, they get into that motion, and it's sound hockey that the Oilers are playing right now.
It's good. Like they look like they're back kind of in like a flow state. I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like they're kind of firing on all cylinders, and obviously you're not going to blow out every game. And
they're also getting goaltending, Darius. Can you believe it?
Yes.
Can you believe it? If you told me before, and here's why. If you told me before the season that Calvin Pickard would lead the Oilers to, I forgot how many wins he has this season, but more than like one win, I'd be like, okay. Like in the preseason, like
yeah. Who got injured, right?
Season, like it's I don't know what to say about him, but like it's not like he's a fantastic goalie. He's just providing the team with what they need, and that's timely saves.
He's giving the team a chance to win. That's what I see from that, right? Like he's not gonna win you. He probably won't win you a Stanley Cup or anything like that, or be the reason that they, crawl back into first place or, like I said, win the Stanley Cup. But he is providing the team with a chance to win every single night, and that's something they weren't getting in the first half of the season.
No.
And obviously the scoring's come back because McDavid died for 2 months. I don't even know what was wrong with him. But he's back. He's back, and
He's back.
He's back. Draisaitl looks pretty good too. The power play looks dangerous. Talk about Connor Brown, Matt. What's up with Connor Brown?
What's down with Connor Brown, and that's everything involved. I don't know what to say. I think before the season in our preview show, I think I hyped him up a little too much, and that was detrimental because he's done absolutely nothing. The only notable highlight is he had a goal that was disallowed against New Jersey back in December.
Yeah.
And other than that, play dies on his stick every single time, and it's very, very frustrating. He's put up in the press box for a game. I forgot who it was against, but he was a healthy scratch. And Frank Saravalli tweeted, "It lighted a fire under his ass." I was like, "Oh my God, is Connor Brown finally going to arrive?" And then he didn't. So his 1 year as an Oiler will go down as a Canadian Tobias Reader.
Oh boy,
just all hype and nothing to show for it.
Nothing to show for it. It's unfortunate because he had obviously had that significant injury, and I like Connor Brown. He's a good player. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe his days.
let me tell you who has been on the rise, and that is Ryan McLeod.
I was going to bring this up because he moved to the wing, right?
He did, yes. He is on the line with, it's McLeod, Draisaitl, and I believe Warren Fogle. I mean, on paper, you might not think, Draisaitl and two guys, but no, that is Draisaitl and two formidable wingers to fill out that second line, because that second line originally was Connor Brown, Draisaitl, and Warren Fogle. And it just kept going nowhere.
It's just not working. I feel like Warren Fogle needs other pieces to be able to get going. And if you have a piece on the line like Connor Brown who's not getting things going, Draisaitl cannot carry that backpack by himself. But to get back to Ryan McLeod, it's pretty interesting to me to move a guy who's a natural center and has always been a natural center to the wing, and he has that scoring touch. So if you put him with Draisaitl, who's a premier player in the league, I think McLeod was kind of being suffocated on that third line, the center spot.
Was.
Yes. To not get to his or reach his ceiling, his actual potential. I feel like this is now probably more like what Ryan McLeod should be for the Oilers, where he hasn't been the last 2 years. Not that it's his fault. He's still young. Don't get me wrong. And what, a second round draft pick? Something like that? Second round?
I'm not going to say yes, but I'm also not going to say no. I forgot what round he was drafted in.
Probably second or third, something like that. But anyway, yeah, I think you're finally seeing what Ryan McLeod is supposed to be, and I think that's exciting for the Oilers too, because you need depth scoring, and I feel like at some point they might trade Nuge for something, right?
They better not.
But
Nuge,
who knows?
He is that first line, Nuge, Connor, and Hyman, one of the best first lines in the league.
It is. Zach Hyman is such a great piece.
He is
a line, a first line.
He's like Ryan Smith 2.0, except with a little more offense. He can get in the dirty areas. He will chew up the clock in the offensive zone, even with two defensemen on him. The guy is just a monster. You never see him have a bad game. You never see him take a shift off. It's just phenomenal what he has done to this Oilers team.
No, he is such a good piece. He would complement any team's first line.
He would.
He is such a good player. Not in a flashy way. Just he just knows how to play the game. He knows how to create space, and he knows how to he wouldn't be able to be a number one player on most teams or whatever, but if you put him with your best player,
he'd be the 1B to that best player on the team.
On every team. He's the Chris Kunitz of whatever team, you know what I mean?
I can see it.
Comparison,
I can see
it. Maybe a little bit better. But anyway, I love Zach Hyman, so praise to Zach Hyman there. Anything else you want to touch on with the Oilers before we move on?
Nothing really. It's been very wacky scheduling wise for the Oilers, because they played one game and then they take a break, and then they had that California road trip. Went 3-0 on that California road trip.
Not a big deal.
And now they're off. Until Saturday. I mean, the January schedule, knock on wood, it is very, very generous to the Oilers, because let's just list off some of the upcoming games, shall we? They played Philly 2 nights ago on January 2nd, and then they got Ottawa on Saturday, so they had a nice little break in between. So you got Ottawa, Chicago, Detroit, Montreal. I mean,
Couple of those
four
should be
teams,
like routine wins.
and then the Leafs, and then, but it's sort of like the Leafs are in between, like again a very easy January because after the Leafs you got Seattle, you got Calgary, Columbus, Chicago, Nashville, and then Vegas. So they have a lot of gimmies, and then in between they're like, okay, maybe we should give you a challenge once in a
tougher
while, and
game here and
that's
there.
what they've done here. And
Well,
then
they
I
played
can't.
a lot of really good opponents early in the year. That was one thing that was thrown out there around, I think, the end of November, that the Oilers' schedule was really tough early on, not so tough now.
Give or take, yeah, but nobody really expected Vancouver to be that good before
No,
the
it's true.
season. But I
It's
mean,
true.
they did play Winnipeg, they played the Rangers, they played Dallas, and then they had that Eastern Road swing where they had the Bolts, the Panthers, and the Canes. I mean, that's always the Southern Death Row when you go down there. You
It's
can't
true.
really expect much, but still, easy January, climbing themselves out of a hole. Let's just check the standings here right now. I believe they are.
Wild card, right?
No, I don't even think they're wild card just yet. They are.
They gotta
Oh,
be close.
they are 1 point back of Arizona for the second wild card spot,
There you go.
and then only 12 points back from first in the Pacific. Can they do it? Can they
Dude,
not?
I don't know
Oh,
about. I really
oh.
don't know about first, but they're gonna make some noise. Like I'd be surprised if they didn't finish in a divisional playoff spot. Just the way the season's going for them, since hobbling into the first half,
Yeah.
I'd be a little surprised. But they're just too
Yeah,
good.
oh my-
They're just
my-
they're just too good. Like what? How many points they're 6 points out of a divisional spot. Like it's gonna happen.
Yeah. My God, if they play the Kings in the first round again, I don't
Again.
know what I'll do. Oh, it'll be like the opposite of Dallas Edmonton in the late 90s, where it's like, these guys again, like you know what you expect with the Kings. I don't know. It's just I I hate to jinx it. I've been jinxing a lot of things this episode, but they have Los Angeles's number.
Yeah.
Not many teams in the league can say that with how deep Los Angeles is. Like down the center. I mean, he's not like, superstar quality, but PLD as your third line center. I mean,
It's,
not many teams have that.
On paper, it's good.
When he shows up, mind you.
Yeah,
But still,
that's what I mean. On paper, he's good.
Earlier on in the season, I said it was Edmontover. I think they're back, fellas, or fella. Just one.
Are you filing a claim with the We're Back department?
I want to put this out. I want to tell everyone we're back up.
Oh, we're back. The Oilers are back.
We're back.
Speaking of the Western road trip and the Western Conference, the Leafs are on a Western LA
yes,
road
they
trip
are.
right now, and I would like
The
to touch
one
on
that
Leafs.
the one that our dear friend Nick is on right now.
That Nick is on.
Except he's not going to San Jose.
He's not going to the Shark Tank, unfortunately. No. Nobody else is either. Watch the game on Saturday. Watch the attendance. But the Leafs, I wanted to touch on them very quickly. And Matt, get your thought on the Leafs from an outside perspective.
Yes.
But anyway, the Leafs, the forward group is good. No complaints. And Austin Matthews is an alien because he has 30 goals and it's January 4th. I feel like that's stupid.
Does he get 70 this year?
Yes. Yeah.
Does he
I
get 75?
was reading a stat. I can't remember the exact date, but the year he scored 60, he scored his 30th goal in mid-February. And we're January 4th.
Right now, before you go on, how
Yeah.
many does he get this year?
70.
70, like on the dot?
70, I would say I feel like if he
Like-
hits 70, they'll scratch him. So,
Really?
yeah. So I feel like he doesn't hit anything more than it depends when he does it. Like if he does it early April and they still have 10 games or something, they'll play him.
Yeah, it also depends how close that race is too.
Exactly. So, but I have a feeling if it's really close to the end of the year and he hits 70, he won't play again. But anyway, I'm gonna guess somewhere. If you want an actual number, I'm gonna guess 71. All right, just the pace he's on.
Okay, I was gonna go 71 as well.
Yeah, 71, and he'll be the first player to hit 70 in 30 years. Yager,
Who's the last-
maybe.
Solani? 76?
Ooh, could have. I thought Yager got 72 one year or something.
Hold on. I'll stats research.
Yeah.
So the Leafs. How about that goaltending?
I think it was Yager in 95, 70 goals. But anyway, I think he was the last one. The Leafs. Yeah.
95. Sorry, Darius. He only got 62.
Never mind. So maybe it was Solani then. I believe it was Solani then.
Last 70 goal season.
Yeah.
That is. Yeah, it was. Oh, it was a tie actually. It was McGillney and Solani 93. They both got 76.
76. All right.
Wow.
So I don't think he's getting 76, but I could see 71. I could see 70 for sure, especially on the pace he's on.
On the north end of 70.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see it. But yeah, the forward group, no complaints. Obviously, if you can add a little bit at the deadline, great, especially if it's for the bottom half of the lineup. But I think they did really well with Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi. The defense, they need to make a trade, needs to happen. Defense is not good enough, although I like Simone Benoit. He's been a really, really good addition. Legason's really good if there's injuries, but the D-core needs one more stud, one more big fish. And the goaltending, Jesus Christ. Find a goalie for God, Jesus Christ,
like
man.
that is just like patching a hole.
The hole is still there.
Back.
They're not even patching it. They're just putting like paper in front of it, and they're like,
"There's
we'll
here's Martin Jones. Mind you, he got a shutout against the Kings.
And I mean, that's nothing to laugh at. Night. So Martin Jones has been really good. I just don't like.
Is he the answer?
No, I don't think that's the thing. I still don't think he is. But as a backup emergency option, he's been really good. Can't complain about him. Wool obviously has been great, but he's injured. So and you don't really know what you have with him like long term still, I feel like, but he's been good. So I guess, right? Like and then Samsonov is supposed to be your number one guy, and he's
that's the elephant in the room.
He is unplayable.
That Columbus game was just a tire fire.
I
watched that entire thing and I was like, even I feel bad.
I think that like the worst part was the overtime goal. I was like, well, that's your last. That's it. You're done now.
Yeah.
Like the goal when he deked, like he didn't have to do all that. Like if you go back and watch it, like he's like flopping around. I'm like,
yeah, he did far too much.
Yeah. I'm like, you're done. It's over for you. It's Samson over.
And then it wasn't just the Columbus game. The Buffalo game.
Oh my
God.
Okay, they were already talking about Buffalo, the Buffalo game, like sending him down to the Marlies. I was surprised he made it to that Columbus game.
Like after that Buffalo game, I don't know why you keep him up. Like you know what you have.
The Buffalo one was that first goal he let in. I was like, how do you not pull him immediately? How do you not like tell Martin Jones like, yo, just be ready?
Like even before that, like there were so many warning signs. Like the game.
Yeah.
What was it? It was before the European games where it's like this is shaky. This is very shaky. Like he had that win against the Canucks and the Wings. You're like, okay, well he's starting to find his form again, and just completely lost it.
Yeah, and he completely lost it. And I don't want to spend too much time on the Leafs because I'm getting a little sick of them. Not gonna lie, they got to do something.
And then we'll talk about them more next week when Nick's back.
Exactly. Well, we'll have good stories from Nick as well. But last thing I'll touch on is I don't think you can lose. Like hockey is almost like riding a bike. Unless you miss a lot of time at a professional level, I don't think you ever like lose the skill. So I don't think Samsonov has forgotten how to play hockey. I think it's more of like a mental thing.
It's the yips. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So I hope he figures it out because even his interviews this year, like last year, he was the really happy, fun-loving guy where he's joking with reporters. He can't really speak English. He's making a joke of it. Like he's having fun with the reporters. They're all laughing together. And he seemed like that type, and he was giving really good quotes. And then this year, like right off the bat, it was like, I hate all of this. I hate myself. I hate hockey. I suck. Like the whole year so far. And it's just a complete 180 from his interviews last year, just in the media side of things. And obviously his play has sucked. So I don't know. I think it's more of a mental thing, and I think he just has to. Maybe it doesn't even have to do with hockey. It could be something at home or whatever. I don't want to, speculate or whatever, but it's definitely a mental thing. He has to figure it out, and I hope he does, because at a personal level, he's clearly struggling, and I hope he figures it out. So
yeah, because he's down with the Marlies right now, and they've got like a bunch of like goalie specialists with him.
He's not even playing. He's not even playing. He's just there to do like homework,
like drills.
Yeah, like he's literally just to get back his confidence. Like I'm glad the Leafs can do that because I feel like some other teams wouldn't be able to. But like,
well, we tried with Jack Campbell, and you think that got us anywhere? Absolutely not. The guy is the backup to like our rookie goaltender Olivier Rodrigue.
Yeah,
like it's gotten sorry to go back to your Oilers, but
no, it's good.
When you think that sending first of all when you read about it, you're like the initial reaction is like you paid this much for a goalie and he's playing in the minors because he sucks in the NHL, and then you realize he gets down to the AHL and he just lost it.
Yeah,
and it just turns from anger to apathy real quickly, where it's like, oh well, it's kind of like a sunk cost fallacy here, where it's like, oh, we spent so much, we're gonna get something out of him, and then you don't, and then it just turns to just a blank outlook on things.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I hope he figures it out, not only for himself but for the Leafs, because they need him. Like they thought that this guy was still the number one coming into this year, and he's like not even number 3. He's non-option. Go do your homework with the Marlies. So. At least they're shielding him. Like with the Campbell thing, they sent him down and he started immediately playing games, and then everyone was clowning him. At least Samsonov is like, go hide in this corner for a little bit. We're going to work with you, and we'll see what happens.
And then we'll see. Yeah.
So I don't hate it. I just hope he figures it out. Okay, let's move on. The NHL All-Star weekend is fast approaching, actually. It's only a month away, which is exciting. And there's been some announcements, including like a change in format. I'm not sure if we got into the format before our last episode.
The skills format, we did go through it. Yes.
Yeah. And
where it's like the 12 players.
Yeah, and then there's like a $1 million prize, which
it's pennies to them.
Yeah, there's a draft again this year.
Unless it's a rookie like Bedard, where he's only making $900K, like. Then a million makes a difference to him, unless there's all the endorsements and stuff, but still, like $1 million.
Yeah,
have it be something more like important. Do I have any ideas? Absolutely not. But there are good ideas when it comes to that, rather than just $1 million prize package.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it should be fun, but like, it's gonna be fun because like I have the opportunity to go to it because it's in Toronto. But other than that, like it's the All-Star game again, like whatever. Like
it's like a 3-on-3 format.
Yeah, like it's the same type of.
It's like Millionaire Beer League is what the 3-on-3 tournament is.
It's kind of true. Yeah, like they don't really care. They're trying shit, which is fun. But I'm not gonna take time out of my day to sit there and watch it on TV. I might just catch the highlights or something, But anyway.
Also, before we go on,
there
was the opening weekend of the PWHL, or opening week, I should say.
Was going to get into that, yeah. I actually wanted to save that for last because I really wanted to dig into it. But we can. Let's dig into it right now because.
All right.
This shit is amazing. Have you sat down and watched the game?
I watched the first game, New York, Toronto, and then I watched a little bit. I didn't watch any of Montreal, Ottawa, but I watched a little bit of Minnesota, Boston last night.
That crowd. So we'll start with Toronto. The opening ceremony and everything, the bracelets, they're playing at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Maple Leaf Gardens.
Dude, the vibes were immaculate. All right, they're doing the whole ceremony before the game. I was like, I felt something because I was like, there are so many girls like 5, 6, 7 years old either at this game or watching it on CBC. Like that's the other thing I wanted to get into too. It's so accessible. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
CBC. Like you don't even need a cable package for that.
On Monday, like it was simulcast through CBC, one of the Sportsnet, I think it was like 360, and then like 4 of the 5 TSN channels.
Yeah.
Like it can't get any more accessible than that.
No, it was on everything. It's on New Year's Day, so you're off. Everyone's off. You're not doing anything except for me. I went out because my.
And then watching the bum ass Winter Classic.
Yes,
that was not a good game.
Too. But to get back to that, I was just thinking in my head, like watching the ceremony, I'm like, there's 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old girls watching this, and one day they're gonna be like, I can do that. I can do that now. I can make money doing that. This can be my profession. It's not just something where I can go play in the Olympics and I train all the time, but I also have a side job or my full-time job on the side, right? Now they can look at this and be like, this is something I can do. This can be my career if I really want to get into athletics and hockey. And the hockey itself was great. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand the complaints and the all that, dude. If you look at
Oh,
the
you're
Instagram
always
comments,
gonna get complaints.
dude, if you look at the Instagram, but it's all people just saying that shit to get likes. If you sit down and watch the game, they were killing each other. Like there
Like they
was
put
hitting,
the whistles away.
They put the whistles away. There was hitting. They're in on the forecheck. That second goal by Alex Carpenter, I think it was, from New York, the first game, the first day.
Yeah.
Snipe, bro. Like just walks in and ping, like amazing. So the hockey's good. The vibes are good. I like the fact that, young girls can look at that and be like, I can do that shit as a career. Like this is, that's going to be me. Right. So I think that's important to have. It was really cool.
Yes. Like my only gripe, it's not with like anything to do with like the league or the gameplay itself. It's just like the lack of names.
Yeah.
Like I know they
yeah.
wanted to get like they wanted to hit the ground running with not having to, come up with, what was it, like a whole bunch of different team names. Like PWHL Toronto. Well, yeah, I mean for the first year it'll be good, but once they find a name, I think that's when it'll start to gain traction.
But I think that's just it. Like I'm usually on the side of branding is everything, because it is true, right? Branding is everything for anything you do. It is the most important thing. And they don't have that. They don't really have separate identities just yet. However, the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the attention, like the vibes, everything is there. Like they're not missing anything. No. I don't think. Like everything is good still. And I feel like when they add eventually more teams, because I feel like it's going to be absolutely successful. Like I want to go to a game now. That looks electric. Also, Toronto sold out for the entire season. So good luck getting in. Good for them. But yeah, like they're not really missing anything. When they eventually add more teams and the logos, obviously next year, not even logos, the team names, it's just going to get bigger and better. And the fact that they started now without, I don't think it's something that's going to deter them or make the product worse off the bat. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing that's going to negatively affect them. They're fine. Everything's going to be good, and it's only going to get better just based off this weekend alone. And like you said, you didn't watch the Ottawa-Montreal game. Wow, bro. The atmosphere was crazy. Like they scored the first goal, and it was like I don't even know how to describe it. Like insane. Like you don't get that at an Ottawa 67s game because they're playing a TD plays. You don't get that even if they're in the playoffs. It was electric. It was crazy.
And it's nice to see every different team, like all the teams, have that little bit of star power. Like it's sprinkled throughout the league. Like Toronto, they've got Nurse. Montreal has Marie-Philip Poulin.
Mm-hmm.
Ottawa. Oh, who does Ottawa have? I had the name off the top of my head.
Is it Emily Clark?
Oh, they had who's in net for them? Was it Debian?
I think
or is she in
so.
Montreal?
No, I think she's in Montreal. I get confused now because I'm just so used to them being on Team Canada that I don't know where they are now.
Well, it's like that's the thing. Like you have more women's hockey to watch other than every 4 years in the Olympics, where it's the Canada-US Invitational, and then the Women's Worlds every year. Like there's more. There's more to consume, and that's always good to grow the game.
And now you go through a whole process. You can get drafted. You can go play hockey in the States, and then something happens after, right?
Yeah.
Like you can pursue that hockey as a career, which is like it never happened before.
And then there was a Japanese player in the PWHL.
Yep.
I'll just get her name. Oh boy. Akane Shiga. Mm-hmm. I hope I got that right. That's the thing with names. Like watching the World Juniors, it's Star Trek. So many times Gordon Miller said a name, and I was like, oh, I butchered that so goddamn hard in the preview video. Like Haminaho for Team Finland, not Haminaho. But anyways, that's my apology to the European viewers, the very, very, very slim margin of viewers that watch that. But still, like in the PWHL, you don't have just Canadians and Americans. You have everybody from all over the world joining this league, and I think that's even better to grow the game, because like these players will join the PWHL and then go back to their own like respective country's club, and just continue to elevate everybody around them. And I think, you know what? That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect for women's hockey.
I am like so like both feet in on that. Like I was excited when it got announced, and then I watched the first game and I'm like, I am in. Like I'm going to keep track of like how the teams are doing. Like I'm in. You know what I mean? Like they got me. They got me. I'm in.
I've got people over Twitter like picking a team, and it's all everybody all in the same like rooting for the same
No,
team.
yeah.
Like I've got people like, oh, I'm gonna cheer for Minnesota
Yes.
or New York or Boston because there's also the ties to Team Canada as well, or university players like American and Canadian university or college players go into the PWHL, and you have so many different ties, and that's what makes the league great.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of ties, this is great that you brought that up. There was a goal. I know you didn't watch the Montreal and Ottawa game. There was a goal. I think Montreal tied it 2-2. The goal was scored by Laura Stacey. I think it's Stacey. The goal was assisted by Marie-Philippe Poulin. Sorry, Jesus. I butchered that. Poulin.
No, you got that.
I was trying to add the little,
Also, the Americans, at the time recording, the Americans just made it 3-2 on the power play against the Finns.
So they're gonna win
with about three minutes to go here. Just an update for those that are on a time delay. But go.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna be watching this like USA already won the
Like, yeah, no shit.
Like, yeah,
yeah, the American.
No. Okay, no.
Sorry,
go
continue,
back to that.
continue.
It was the goal that made it 2-2. All right. The goal was scored by Laura Stacey. The goal was assisted by Marie-Philippe Poulin. Okay. They are engaged. They're getting married, and they connected on a goal for the same team. Is that not like?
That's kind of poetic,
dude? That's like, where do you get that anywhere else? That was like when I found that out. They said it on the broadcast. I was like, what? That's insane. Like,
and like so many different like rules that they have, which is kind of cool. They got if you score shorthanded, that frees your player.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Out of the box, and then they got like the point system, which the NHL doesn't have, and it should. It's like three points for a regulation win, 2 points for an overtime win, 1 point for an overtime loss, 0 points for obviously a regulation win, which just goes without saying. But the fact that this league can do it, and then everyone's like, that's genius. I don't know how the NHL can still get away with only doing 2 points for like any type of win.
It's the dinosaur league is the NHL, and the one thing you didn't even mention is there's no trapezoids, which kind of tripped me out because the goalies. Were playing
that's right. Yeah,
some of the rinks have it. Yeah,
I'd mention it, especially no trapezoids on an NHL size rink. That's sort of like a blast of the past, sort of nostalgic, like the old school. Before Marty Brodeur and Marty Turco decided to play the puck magnificently, and then the league's like, I don't like that.
That's the other thing, though. Like, that's the other thing. Like, let's get rid of that rule, too, in the NHL. Like, why do we need that? They made that rule for Brodeur. Like,
who's the best puck-handling goalie in the league right now? Because
Mike
Smith is retired.
I don't even know. Because they don't handle the puck.
No. Because if you're a goalie, Darius...
You tend the goal.
Exactly.
You tend the goal. Shout out Steve Dangle. But... yeah, it kind of tripped me out in the Ottawa game because the goalie came out to play it in the trapezoid because they still have the trapezoids on the ice for the OHL. So I was like, oh, that's wrong. You're not allowed to do that. And it was fine. So kind of tripped me out there a little bit. But, dude, fantastic for the game. Like, I'm all
not
in
even
with
good.
this
It's
league.
great.
It's great. Yeah. And I watched a little bit. Went out for dinner last night and they had it on the TV. It was, who's playing? Minnesota and Boston.
Yeah.
And it was a good game. Like, I don't know what to tell people now. Like, this shit is amazing. Like, you got to tune in, man. Like, it's really good. And the storylines are impeccable. Like, what other league do you get in a professional league? Do you get an engaged couple scoring, creating a scoring play and scoring? Like, that's...
You don't.
Like, when they said it on the broadcast, I can't stop saying it. Like, it blew my mind. I was like, that's insane. Like, that is so cool, man. Like, anyway...
and like some of the rinks, like it's not even like all small rinks because Minnesota they play at the XL Energy Center.
Yeah, which is
I believe the New York team they split, but some games are at UBS Arena where the Islanders play.
Yep.
TD Place, like you said, for Ottawa, the old Maple Leaf Gardens Mattamy Athletic Center for PWHL Toronto. I believe Montreal they are playing in Laval at Bell Place.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not like the community rinks. No, these are like full-fledged hockey arenas.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. So XL Energy, that's like 20,000 seats or whatever it is, 18,000, right? And then you got TD Place in Ottawa, which is like 10,000 seats. That's a lot of seats. The smallest one is Toronto so far, Maple Leaf Gardens, which I think is only like 3,000 or something like that. But they're going to pack that place every game. It's going to be exciting to play there. Boston, like you mentioned, full-fledged rink. UBS Arena, they're splitting some time there for the New York team. Montreal's playing like a 10,000 seat arena. It's not like this is amazing. This is good for the league, and it's going to be exciting to see what happens going forward. Like, I'm excited for not only the rest of this year, but the next few years, because you're going to have people getting like drafted this year. There's going to be more storylines because a lot of these players right now from like the Olympics and the World Championships, stuff like that. But once you start seeing like newer talent come in through the draft and the league really gets rolling, like, sky's the limit. Like, it's going to be exciting. So
Yeah, because each team plays 24 games, and then it pauses in February for the IIHF national team break, and then in April for the 2024 Women's World Champs. And then the playoffs begin the week of May 6th. So imagine, international hockey, and then you come back, and then the playoffs start. Like,
yeah,
that's like the perfect fuel for the PWHL playoffs.
It's
right
awesome.
right after you have all these countries going against each other, mainly Canada, US. But it's fantastic. Everything this league has done so far, I'm like, they're not wrong. Other than the branding, of course, which will come later. But still, they've done.
It's funny you say that, because even with the branding thing, they're like, we couldn't get it done in time, but we want to start anyway. Yeah. And I'm like, you're not wrong.
Just play, drop the puck. Come on, let's go. Chop.
I totally understand. Now, have they said anything? Because you might know better than me, although I've been paying close attention
not
to
much.
it. Have they said like what's going to go on next year? Because they started the season January 1st. Like, is that going to be I imagine they would start their season next year, like September or October. I don't know if they've even said anything about that.
The playoffs, I'll check the press notice here, because the playoffs do start May 6th. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long they run for.
Well, it's only 6 teams, right? So I imagine...
I would have to imagine it'd be like they would start like January 1st every year. That's the perfect starting point, like for a league, because New Year's Day, most people are off. That's when you get the most eyes on the start of the season. Like, the only competition you have is the Winter Classic, and then maybe to dive into a different sport here, the College Football Championships.
Yeah,
because I know New Year's Day is a big day for the bowl games.
But at least in Canada, you might be creating something on a January 1st where it's like, all right, let's go to
a new tradition.
Yes, let's all go to the Toronto game or whatever, right? Or Boston, or like, not everyone watches college football, especially in Canada. Like, obviously, I know it's a huge thing in the States, but you're creating new traditions where you can go to things, and I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it's easy. It's like a set date, because, like I said, New Year's Day, everybody's off. It's a set date, January 1st, not like the NHL, where it varies from year to year. The second Wednesday of October.
Yeah.
First Saturday, and they've never started on a Saturday, but still, like, a concrete starting point is great. Like,
I think that would be good, actually. It's a good
this
point.
League, great.
Dude, that's a great stamp to end
the more we talk about this. Also, the Americans just clinched their way into the gold. The more we talk about this, the more I'm excited.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think when Nick comes back, like, I know he's paying attention to it as well. So we'll get into it. I think we should do like a weekly checkup with the PWHL. I think that'd be fun.
I am down.
Because it's honestly exciting hockey. I was juiced. I was into it. Like, that Ottawa Montreal game, I was into that shit, man. Like, eyes locked. And
also, did I say the Americans clinched the spot? They clinched the spot for gold. They did not clinch gold. I think I said they clinched gold.
You did say.
Alas,
I think you did say that. Yeah. So.
Well, shit. Okay. Well, who knows?
Sweden, USA. That's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, Sweden, USA. Sorry. Go on. Continue.
Okay. Real quick before our last topic, who do you think's gonna win?
Sweden.
All right.
Sweden.
I'll take USA.
I'm gonna go score prediction here. I'm gonna go. It's gonna be a high scoring game. It's gonna be 6-5 Sweden in regulation.
5-4 USA in a shootout. All right. We'll see what happens next.
Shootout.
We'll see what happens this weekend. We'll see what happens this weekend, and we will talk about it next week on the show.
Fair enough. All right.
Last thing I wanted to talk about, because there was a heated discussion on Sportsnet last night about
it. That was fantastic. That is what Sportsnet needs.
Yeah.
This is what Canadian sports media needs. They need more people going at each other. Not just, hey, he did this. And then the guy goes, oh, I agree. No, we need people going at each other. Continue. Sorry, Darius.
Hartman Perfetti. All right. The Hartman Perfetti thing. So we'll go back to, everyone knows about it by now, but I'll brief it anyway. Kaprizov gets injured in, I think it's a home and home. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But it's a home and home. Kaprizov gets cross-checked in a not desirable area. And
by Brendan Dillon, I
of
believe.
The Winnipeg Jets, yes. And so Kaprizov is hurt because obviously it was pretty vicious. I mean, like, it's in a spot that's not going to tickle. And then the next game, Hartman basically tells Perfetti, like, hey, you're getting it because I have to go after somebody to, kind of get payback or revenge for Kaprizov going out. Now, this is
after the smallest guy on the team.
Yeah. So, out of this, there might be a little bit of a rivalry brewing. And I think the fact
I think there already is.
Yeah. And I think the fact that Perfetti came out to the media and said, yeah, this guy straight up told me he was going to knock my head off, I think puts a little bit of a target on his back. But it adds more fuel to the flames of this rivalry. And they could end up playing in the playoffs too, which I think is super exciting.
Yeah.
But Matt, what do you think of it? Like, I have my thoughts. We'll get to it. And I don't want to spend too much time on this. But what did you think of it? Like, straight up first, reaction to it and, like, everything that's happened since.
So Dillon cross-checks Kaprizov. And then I believe there was a fight right after. No, it started off, I forgot who exactly it was, but there was a fight. It's like, okay, you know what? Tensions, they sort of simmer down. Maroon was in a fight. He's like, okay, this is what you have to do if things don't want to escalate here. So that's what they did. And then Hartman, being Ryan Hartman, there's just so much I can say about that guy. Yeah, high sticks, Cole Perfetti, straight up tells him, like, Cole Perfetti, he's mic'd up. He's wearing a mic. Mm-hmm. Perfetti got all of that on his mic. Hartman says, okay, yeah, sorry, this is what you did. You went after your best player.
Yeah.
And then Perfetti doesn't even go to Dillon. No, he does it to the smallest player, one of the smallest players in the league, in Cole Perfetti. And it's you need the Department of Player Safety to police the game. Otherwise, this will happen.
Shit like that happens. Yeah. Now, to get into my kind of breakdown of it. Somebody viciously cross-checked Minnesota's best player. And now Minnesota's best player is out. So the way hockey works, and it'll never change at a fundamental level that it is, somebody has to pay for it now. All right? And it shouldn't have been Perfetti. That's my thoughts on it.
No, Perfetti had nothing to do with the play that injured.
It doesn't even have to do, like, it should definitely be Dillon answering for this. Let's get that straight, right? But that's not how hockey works. They're going to go after a star player. But you should be going after maybe Kyle Connor. Actually, Kyle Connor wasn't even playing. Nick Ehlers, maybe even Scheifele. Like, you should be going after older guys who have been around. You shouldn't go after Perfetti, who's, like, what is this, his second year in the league?
Yes.
And even if you do decide, okay, I'm going to go after this guy who's in his second year in the league, he's a young guy and he's one of the smaller guys on the team, you should talk to him and be like, hey, you're going to get it, and you're going to get it in the way of, I'm going to fight you or I'm going to hit you, right? Not I'm going to high stick you in the face. That's a dirty play that doesn't belong in the game, quite frankly. Like, it's not even, everyone's getting things mixed up. Somebody has to pay for what happened to Kaprizov. That's just the way hockey works, all right?
Yeah.
In my eyes. It's just the way hockey works. Dillon can get it, and like I said, anybody who's older, like Scheifele, star player, can get it. But the fact that he went after Perfetti, it's not even the fact that he went after Perfetti, it's what he did to Perfetti. Even if you wanted to go after Perfetti, then he's going to have to pay for it. Somebody from Winnipeg is now going to have to go after Hartman because he went after a young guy, right? So it's going to be this cycle of bullshit that would continue to happen unless he went after Dillon and handled it that way, which he could have, but he didn't. He picked on a younger guy and he high sticked him in the face, which was dirty, and he said he was going to do it. I don't like it.
And he can't be disciplined because in the CBA in 2005, if you wear a mic and you say something into said mic, you can't be disciplined for it. You can't
be disciplined for that specifically. Although it's on camera, him high sticking the guy in the face.
Yeah.
And Perfetti said, I don't know if it has anything to do with the mic. Perfetti said straight up, this guy told me that he was going to do that. And we didn't need the mic for that.
you almost have to wonder like how much of like in quotations for the audience, the code does it still exist?
I
Because I
think it
mean,
does.
the Jets fought twice, for the code. Because after uh Dylan fought Jacob Middleton of the Minnesota Wild as like an answer, and then yeah, Adam Lowry, Captain Adam Lowry, mind you, fought Patrick Maroon immediately at the start of the next game because it was a home and home, and then Hartman still does something.
I think the way like hockey works is the thing with Kaprizov happens. The next game, Hartman can decide to either go after the guy that did that to Kaprizov and everything is done, or he can go after a star player on the Winnipeg Jets, and then somebody's gonna have to fight Hartman, and then everything's done. Right? That's just the way I've seen it through years of watching hockey. Right? But the way he went about it, doing a dirty play to a young player, it's definitely not done. Like now, it's just gonna continue to snowball the next time they play.
See,
and it was dirty.
and
It was a dirty play.
this will turn into like my prediction a few years back with Tom Wilson and Artemi Panarin with the New York Rangers and Washington Capitals, the Department of Player Safety, they're like, he didn't really do anything wrong here. And that's when it escalated into that fight night at the Garden.
Yeah.
Because when the league doesn't police its players, this is what happens. And Minnesota, Winnipeg, it'll turn into a rivalry at the expense of, I don't want to say innocent, but players that had nothing to do with injuring a player
Getting injured.
Getting injured. Well, not so much getting injured, but being a victim of sort of a retaliation, mind you.
Yeah. No, that is what it is. That's where we're at right now. And it's
it's just cheap shot after cheap shot. And it's like, when will it end?
It won't if it continue. Like if it just, I feel like there is a code and Hartman just definitely didn't. The thing is, it's off a face-off. So if the camera didn't get it, you wouldn't really know about it. And if Perfetti didn't say anything, you wouldn't really know about it. That's the thing. You just bang, high stick them real quick. This is payback, right? But
it's the fact he admitted to it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that got me.
So we're kind of where are we at right now, right? Like now it's just gonna snowball, and it's like, okay, now star players are in danger and young players are in danger, and like oh my goodness, what's the coach's name? Bonus said, like if he knew about it on the bench at that time, he would have done something about it, which means Hartman would have been eating somebody's fist, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't know about it. So the next time they play, some shit's going to go down because somebody did not follow the code appropriately and did some dirty shit. That is what it is. Although Dylan's cross-check is not, like, it all goes back to that. It's also probably don't do that to their best player.
And it was also last year as well. I remember it was Jets, Wild, and Logan Stanley injured Kirill Kaprizov. So this isn't the first time with sort of this history in between Minnesota, Winnipeg.
Yep.
But it's just it will continue to snowball if nothing happens. And just to see the next time these two teams do play each other, I believe it's in the middle of February. Just a quick
appointment viewing, folks.
Yes, February 20th, 2024. Minnesota, Winnipeg in Winnipeg.
Nice.
So I don't want to say appointment viewing because that's just all the wrong reasons. Like, hey, let's see.
But it is.
Let's see everybody goon it up. But I mean, yeah. Although I did fall victim to that a few years back with the Battle of Alberta after the Cassian Kachuk incident. It's like, this is fantastic. But I mean, nobody was really hurt. That's the thing. It wasn't a retaliation for injuring another player. That was just two teams who just do not like each other, and there's a difference.
Yep. But
and that's the way the world, where the hockey world works,
that
folks.
That is the way the hockey world works, folks. Now, before we wrap up, Matt, I wanted to touch on one thing. Did you know that today makes 17 years since Patrick Stefan missed that empty net against the Oilers?
It sure does. Yeah, January 4th, 2007.
17 years.
I remember watching that too. That's the that's the wacky thing.
Yep. And
damn.
Here we are 17 years later.
That's also, oh shit. That means it's 17 years, I do believe, since Jonathan Toews went 3 for 3 in the shootout against the States.
Yeah,
I do believe that was the very same day.
Yeah. I think it was. Yep. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Because that was the semifinal, quarterfinal.
Yeah, I do believe so. Because the final always falls on January 5th. So yeah, it would have been January 4th, 2007.
Yeah. So there we are. Awesome. And before we go, I know Nick's not here, but we can get his opinion next week. What was your favorite gift that you received this year for Christmas before we get out of here?
Favorite gift.
Yep.
On the video podcast right now, everyone can see me wearing. I got a new pair of Beats headphones.
Nice.
So I'm gonna go with that, and then I also honorable mention got a new weighted blanket. I mean, those things are.
I love, dude. Weighted blankets are goated.
Oh, it's the gift that keeps on giving. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I would say I got a nice.
What was yours?
I got a nice like Maple Leafs hat, which I guess I'll debut next week.
I did see.
I did not really think about wearing it today, I'm not gonna lie. So I guess I'll debut that next week. And money. Thank you everyone for sending me money. Because now I can buy whatever I want with it.
Money.
Mr. Krab. I'm in my Mr. Krabs era. So yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for that. But yeah, no, Christmas time is always like the lead up to Christmas is always pretty good. Then Christmas happens, and then that
unless
week
you work in retail.
Yeah, no,
the lead up to Christmas in retail sucks ass. Like just a PSA, like for next year, like be nice to people. That's all I gotta say. Just be nice.
I agree. With that being said, I don't know how Nick does these intros. I have not memorized them.
Oh,
if you're like, driving in the day.
If you're driving in the day, check your blind spots. If you're driving at night, use your lights. Like, for the love of God, use your lights, people. And then if you're listening to it on the bus, what does he say?
Listen with your headphones.
Beware of your surroundings.
Oh yeah, man. Okay.
I always zone out when he does his outros because
he takes over.
He does take over. You know what? He's the host that does the most. That's why we love him for it. He's living it up in sunny California. He's at Disneyland right now at the time we record this. What a
life!
Unbelievable time of his life.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to Toronto. Cause yeah.
Oh, dude, that's gonna suck when he comes back. That's gonna suck, dude. It was sunny today for the first time, and I'm not even joking. 1 month. First day sunny today.
That's stereotypical winter. But anyways, yeah.
No, not really. Sometimes it's sunny and it's like you still got snow on the ground and shit.
Yeah, but it's sunny for like an hour and then it sets and you're like, it's 5 o'clock and it's dark out. What do I do now? Because you can't really go anywhere. You don't want to go anywhere.
It's true.
Because it's cold and it's dark.
You know what, Matt? It's funny. We started this episode off as the Weather Network, and we are ending this episode off as the Weather Network.
We are, because that's what we are now. That is our team. That is our duo name. We are the Weather Network.
The Weather Network, yeah. The Weather Network and Nick. The Gritcast going forward. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. And
yes, thank you.
We will see y'all next week. Thanks for watching and listening. And we'll see y'all next week.
For more content, visit our YouTube channel and check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to follow the guys on social media at Matt_Mondays, at Nick LaFlame, and at Darius Dominguez.